Hi, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to the Patricia Raskin Positive Living Show right here on VoiceAmericaMedia.com. Happy to say we're in our 24th year here on Voice America Media. I know it's been a while. I've um, I've been on many programs, broadcast, internet, all different kinds, but I've stayed with this program even when I've had other programs because I believe in it. I believe in the message of Voice America Media, and this is the program that shows you how to turn your problems into solutions and your obstacles into opportunities and make your dreams come true. And we cover many different types of topics, very varied, but always positive and upbeat. And if it's not, we turn it into something that brings us a solution. So today, what we're talking about is proven strategies to be a much better speaker. If you'd like to speak, and you might say, well, I'm not a speaker, but we're all speakers. We sell ideas to our family, we sell ideas when we're working. We're always selling and sharing. So, how can we do that better and not stumble over our words and be very confident? And it sounds easy, but it isn't always. But we have a guest that can show us how to do that. Her name is Leisa Reid, and her theme is Share Your Brilliance. She talks about why so many talented people hold back their voice and how speaking can open up doors to us, both personally and professionally. She'll talk about insights on turning our message into impact, building confidence, using our story as a force for connection and growth. So, welcome, Leisa.
Oh, thank you for having me, Patricia. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, good. Let me share a little bit more about you. Leisa Reid is known as the Speaking Strategy Mentor, and she's the founder of Get Speaking Gigs Now and the CEO of the International Speaker Network. Having delivered over 600 talks and authored 9 books, Leisa has helped business owners scale their impact beyond just one-to-one through the power of speaking. She believes that speaking isn't just about giving a talk, it's about creating a strategy to get booked and stay booked and attract clients. And she is passionate about showing us how to do that. So, welcome again, Leisa. All right. I guess the first one is even before any questions, why did this become an important theme for you? I mean, was there somewhere in your life where you felt like maybe you needed to speak better, or maybe you felt that people who were working with you could sharpen their skills? What brought you to this?
Well, I think I've always been interested in being a teacher. It just didn't follow the traditional route that most people would think a teacher would be. So I often say I'm a teacher disguised as a speaker. And I was raised by two teachers. Both had untraditional routes and traditional routes of teaching, my parents. But I remember even when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a teacher. I'm like, I'll be a kindergarten teacher. I'll be a gymnastics teacher, which I actually was a gymnastics teacher for when I was in college. And so that has always been something that's come easy to me, even in any job I had. I was like, once I would learn it, I'd be like, okay, I could train everyone how to do this quicker, faster, better, easier, and we're going to have fun doing it. It just is a natural gift that I have. When it comes to actually becoming a speaker, I think I was also gifted the opportunity to live in a household in which my voice was recognized and
Mm,
appreciated.
mm,
And it was okay
yeah.
to say what I thought and felt, which I do understand most people, a lot of people did
Don't
not
have
have
that.
that experience.
Mm,
So I never had this fear of public speaking, but I also didn't need to be the center of attention. And I bring that up because a lot of times people think speakers are extroverted or speakers need the spotlight. And that's not true sometimes. But for me, it's really about when you have a message that's going to help other people, when you have expertise that's going to help solve problems, when you have something to share a story that's going to inspire other people to change their lives for the better, I think that's worth sharing. And if
mm,
we can figure out how to be confident with that, well, then we're going to help more people.
yeah. So you think, Lisa, that part of the reason people may not even share their stories is that they were told maybe not to, that it might be braggy or showy, or um, out of place?
There are so many reasons why we hold our voice back, and those are some. I often say childhood is a hotbed for humiliation, right? There's so many opportunities to feel powerless as a child, to feel like you have to go along with a program that you don't really agree with. There's social pressures. So it could
Hmm.
be that you have a really supportive, loving childhood home, but maybe school environment socially was awkward, or there was, maybe you didn't fit in or whatever. Maybe you weren't smart at reading, or and then that created some lack of confidence. It really just affects different people differently for different reasons, but we need to
Hmm.
have the right conversation with ourselves to move forward. So oftentimes when people say, oh, I'm scared of public speaking, or that's the biggest fear, there's so many jokes and myths about public speaking. It's usually a really old story that we just haven't looked at. We just
Yeah.
never tied that experience from a long time ago to why am I now 45 and having a hard time sharing my message.
So, is this part of your theory or thesis, if you will, on Share Your Brilliance, is being able to easily share these important stories?
Well, personally, I work with entrepreneurs and business owners who are using public speaking as a way to market their expertise and services. I
Right.
work with like a lot of life coaches and things like that. And usually what I have found is that people are sitting on their brilliance. I call it brilliance hoarding, where we're not doing it maliciously. We're just maybe scared, or we're unsure of how to share what we have to offer. We might have so much expertise like you know, 24 seasons here, 24 years of doing this. You're an expert. How do you narrow down 24 years of expertise into a, 20-minute, 30-minute, 60-minute segment? That's not easy for a lot of people. They think they have to share every single thing and they don't know which to pick
Yeah.
and choose. So it's a
Yeah.
combination of things.
Yeah, I think that's true. And it takes a while and it changes. You become more comfortable with it. It's actually been 4 decades for me. I started
Ah,
before this. Yeah, it's been 4 decades, 6,000 interviews plus. But what's interesting is I think I think something you said is when you start to do it and it works, it feels more comfortable for you. And I
absolutely.
think you take more risks or chances. I mean, I will say something to you very naturally now that maybe 10 or 20 years ago, I would have got, oh, should I ask her that? In my head, it would be, oh, is that too much to ask her that question? And I think too, and I'd love your opinion on this. I think the audience gets that. I think when you aren't sure and you're hedging a little, the audience feels it. And I think the people I listen to who are the most successful in podcasting or hosting are just it just rolls. It's very simple for them. I'm not saying it's simple, but it's very comfortable. What do you think?
Yes. Yeah. And I think that a lot of times we don't give credence to the experience of it being a little messy at first. It's
Yes.
almost like if we think back to when you first learned to tie your shoe, it probably wasn't the perfect bow. It wasn't the tightest bow. And you just going to give up and never do it, never tie your shoes for the rest of your life. No, you keep at it. It's a little messy, it's a little messy, it's a little messy. It gets better, better, better. And then eventually you can do it without thinking about it. And that's what you're talking about, that conscious or unconscious competence is what we're looking to achieve when
Yeah.
it comes to any of the things that we're putting ourselves out there for. But to do that, we need to also get through the unconscious uncompetence, the conscious incompetence, the conscious competence to get to the unconscious or unconscious competence.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a question. I was going to hold it till the next segment, but I'm going to ask it now and you can continue. It's a question around when you're being interviewed or even when you're speaking. And now you're going to take questions from the audience, or someone comes up to you and asks you a question that you're not comfortable with. Should you be preparing ahead of time? Should you be thinking of questions that may be a little invasive you don't want to answer? And the answers you will give so that it feels comfortable. What do you think, Lisa?
Yeah, I think there's it's very I have so many opinions that are coming, so many things that are coming to mind as you ask that. There's something that I like to call audience facilitation. Not everyone is comfortable with audience interaction facilitation, and it's a more advanced piece of speaking because you
Hmm.
do want to really manage the audience. And there's what I call hecklers. Well, I mean, they're called hecklers. Hecklers come in lots of different disguises. And so being able to manage the stage and being able to manage the safety of the room is an advanced skill. Anytime you hand over that mic to somebody else to grab the attention of the room, you do need to be able to gracefully, professionally bring it back to safety. And what I mean is I don't think a lot of people are out there trying to be malicious, but one of the things I'll tell my audience, or I'll tell my clients, I say, do not end with a Q&A, because what happens, and I just had this experience the other day where they're like, oh, well, we want you to speak and then we'll end with Q&A. And I said, how about this? Could we leave the questions in between? Can we create engagement so that people can ask as they're moving along? Now, I know that I have the skill to manage that questions, and it's not going to throw me off. But some people could get really thrown off by being, someone asking a question in the middle of a certain thing. I will, if it's a virtual thing, I can check the chat and say, okay, I know when I'm going to address that question. Thanks for asking. Or I'll say, oh, that's a really individual question. Let's take that offline. So those are different ways that you can do it. But you can't possibly prepare for every single question under the
Right,
sun to
right.
come to you. Like that doesn't make a sense.
Right. But what you're doing is you're kind of preparing so you control it, if you will.
Yes.
Let's talk more about this after the break. I'm going to talk more to Leisa Reid about speakers' kryptonite. What are those mind blocks that stop people? And, you know, how can you get over that feeling of, gee, I've got to be famous or I've got to have a best-selling book in order to speak? We're going to talk all about that right after the break with Leisa Reid. And again, Leisa is the speaking strategy mentor and founder of Get Speaking Gigs Now. All right, stay tuned, and you can log on to Lisa's website at getspeakinggigsnow.com. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Patricia Raskin Positive Living Show right here on voiceamericamedia.com, and we'll be right back. Hi, everyone. We are back. You are listening to the Patricia Raskin Positive Living Show right here on voiceamericamedia.com. And today we're talking about speaking strategies and overcoming the fear of speaking and being a great speaker with Leisa Reid, who's known as the Speaking Strategy Mentor and founder of Get Speaking Gigs Now. She's delivered over 600 talks and authored 9 books. And she really helps you to have a consistent strategy and also get booked. So, we've been talking about how do you handle those tough questions. And one of the things you said is try to build it in so you control it. Meaning, if somebody wants to ask that during, they can do that. And then you can always say, we're going to answer that later, or I'll talk to you later. I think that's what you were saying.
Yeah, and I think too, if you think of the metaphor of the speaker being the captain of the ship, the pilot of the plane, that person is really making sure that everybody arrives safely at the final destination. And anything that can affect that safety of the room is on that person. So I often think of like if you're speaking, you are in charge of the stage. You are in charge of the safety of everybody in that room. Even if it's something like we need to mute this person on Zoom, on a Zoom call, on a virtual speaking engagement, that's affecting everybody. It's not a dangerous thing, but it's affecting the safety, quote unquote, of the room. So it could be something as small as that, or it could be somebody um, talking out of turn or not really adding value to the subject matter, and how do you gracefully allow that person to finish speaking and keep the rest of the crew going.
Mm, yeah. And as you said, those are more advanced skills.
Yeah.
Right. Let's talk about speakers' kryptonite. What do you mean?
So for those of you who don't know, kryptonite is the one thing that can kill Superman. So I call it speaker's kryptonite because there are things that affect even the most advanced, intelligent, determined, successful people. And we're not all immune to, having things that affect us holding back, or I call brilliance hoarding. And it often could sound something like, I'm still working on my talk, or I need to do this other thing first. I need to write a book first. I need to write my course first. I need to do XYZ first. I need more certifications. It could also sound like, I'm not really sure if I would be good at this, or I'm not sure if anyone would let me speak, or, well, I'm afraid I'm going to be look stupid. I'm afraid I'll make a mistake. And so there's different ways that it shows up. So I'm often listening for that because everyone has their own little formula of what that sounds like.
Mhm.
And when I hear that, I'm like, okay, let's address that then. We know it's going to come up each time you get on a bigger stage, bigger stage, bigger stage. Every time you eke out of that comfy zone, I call it the comfy zone instead of the comfort zone. Every time we eke out of that comfy zone, that's going to flare up. So we want to be more aware
Yeah.
of it so that we can catch it and then move forward safely.
Yeah. So it's awareness too. There's a lot of awareness here. Um, so I guess another question I have is you've delivered so many speaking engagements, over 600. What have you learned early on that has helped you consistently get booked?
Oh, one of the ways that I have gotten booked, and this is the past 10 years, like I don't do any cold outreach, right? There's a lot of people who think there's this magical unicorn list of paid speaking engagements. They'll just pay you so much money. And if only you had that list, then you could,
Yeah.
and there's not a magical list. It just, there are lists, but we don't know which ones are going to say yes to you or which ones are not. There's no guarantee there. So the other thing that I found is that most people who are purpose driven and wanting to make an impact do not enjoy cold reach out. And we used to call it cold calling. Now it's like cold filling out applications or sending out email or researching places to speak. It can often feel really soul sucking. And so one of the ways that I've managed to maintain consistent speaking engagements is through something I call a speaker soulmate system. And that's akin to like a referral partner. But it's a very special referral partner, meaning you don't need to have a ton of speaker soulmates. You maybe have 2 or 3 speaker soulmates. And I think that's different than what most people are taught. They think they have to have so much networking and so many contacts and more, 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 more. And honestly, if you have the right partnerships, that can allow you to be booked for the rest of your career. How it works, there's 3 main things that you want to look for. One is someone who speaks at a similar frequency as you. The second thing would be someone you know, like, and trust. Doesn't mean you need to know them since kindergarten, but maybe you develop that quickly. And then the third thing is that they speak to a similar audience as you, but they don't speak about the exact same thing that you do. That makes it easier to refer. So, for example, Patricia, you help people host podcasts. I don't do that, but we might, if we both speak to a similar audience of entrepreneurs or business owners, we might then venture into, oh, maybe we could refer each other. But it would be in a very intentional, responsible way, not just random here and there. It'd be like, let's put our heads together and see how can we work together to do that. Anybody could do this.
Yeah. So again, it's just the support, as you said, but it's the right partner. It's just
Hmm.
not any partner. And as you
Yes,
said, a partner that speaks to a similar audience on a different topic can
exactly.
really be helpful. Um, you talk about soul filling, and you said that word before. What do you mean by that?
I was just on a call with somebody who is very successful, and she's looking at starting to speak. She's really wants to do that, and it would really um, fill her soul, I guess. And she said, but I'm not sure where to start because I know I have to, these are her words, I know I have to, start live streaming every day and start posting all the time and really build up my socials. And I could just feel her like getting drained as she's saying these things. I said, okay. Oh, she said, I feel like a failure because I haven't done, the live streams and I haven't been building up my socials. She's a very successful person. I said, you are not a failure. Number one. First of all, let's just get that out of the way. I go, we are constantly told all the things we have to do as an entrepreneur. The reality is you can't do all of those things all the time. But what we can do is start to go, let me lean into what really lights me up. Let me lean into the activities that I really enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And then we have a little bit clearer vision. Okay,
Yeah.
well, what are the things I'm trying to increase? Is there other support that I could bring in to do the things that I don't like doing? And really right sizing it so that we don't feel burdened
Mm.
by the things that we supposedly have to, should do.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. It's again, it's knowing your strength, knowing your audience, knowing your listener, knowing your market. And I also think part of it, and I love your comment on this, is knowing what's trending, what's in right now. And that means staying up on the news. I mean, I talk a lot about positive aging because I'm of that age. I'm a boomer, baby boomer. And so I need to know what's happening in aging right now in terms of longevity, in terms of preventive methods, and in terms of all different kinds of tools that we can use. I need to know that. And then I need to figure out what does my audience want to hear. So I'd like your comments on that.
Yeah, I think and you have a different marketing strategy because you have an audience that's been with you for a long time. So, what I think is that it's really important to have a strategy that fits your business, your lifestyle, your personality, your financial goals, your business goals, your dreams, your vision, your mission, and all that put together. Then we go, okay, what is it that I want to do? Who do I need to reach and why? And I know more about what's going on in the speaker world than probably most people because my feed gets, inundated with those kind of things. But I also think it can sometimes be overwhelming to get so much content thrown at you and to
Mm,
try to keep up with everything
yeah.
because we have so much access to information that we didn't have before.
Yes.
So we also need to be aware of not suffering from what I call comparisitis. We're like, well, they're doing that, so I should do this. And just going, let me get grounded. What am I here for? Who am I here to serve? And really bring it back to center. Again, following that, like, what fills me up? What lights me up? Who am I here to serve? How can I do that the best way?
Yeah. Important. What do you feel people need to do first? Do they need to get a voice coach in terms of their tone and their pitch? Do they need to have somebody help them with their stories? Do they need to do research? What do you think?
I think, well, for me, I say we'll start right away. And we start with what I call a Get Your Talk Ready to Rock session. And I have a process that I lead people through to help them create their talk. And it's a 2 hour experience where you're just like, let me take the wheel for you. And you get to sit and be you, and your brilliance gets to come out. And I call myself, like, sometimes I'll say I'm a talk doula, OBGYN, midwife, whoever you need me to be in the delivery room to birth the brilliance that comes out of you. And that takes a lot of the pressure off in terms of research or working hard at or still creating your talk, because I believe usually when someone comes across my threshold, they know that they are meant to speak. They know deep in their soul this is something they're meant to do. I'm not, twisting arms over here. Like, we already know that we're going to do this. It's not for everybody, but for those people who it is, we want to just make a decision. That's what most people are avoiding. It's like we have to put some stake in some ground today so that you can then move forward, share that message. And as you had said earlier, like, it's going to evolve and change, but you have to start somewhere. So we need to make a decision. What are we going to share? Let's do that now.
So when you talked about being like a talk doula, so that means in that session with the person, they just talk and you sit back?
No. So what it is that we take their information and I ask questions to develop the talk with them.
I
So
see.
but I'm listening to them speak, and I'm not just listening with my ears, I'm listening with my eyes and with my emotions and with my intuition. And so sometimes I'll ask, just like you, I'll ask questions that kind of come to me, even though maybe I wasn't planning on asking that question. And so I then honor that question. And usually the brilliance is somewhere deeper than what they're consciously aware of. So that we're actually getting to the root of, like, what's the brilliance that really
Mm.
is needing to be shared with the world.
Maybe the underlying message. Is
Yeah.
that what you mean?
Yeah, because often we get so close to it, we don't realize what we have. Like, sometimes I have clients who, like, for example, one of my clients has a methodology that she teaches is really powerful exercise, and she didn't really honor it as much. She didn't think it was that big of a deal because for her it's easy. She's like, "Oh, I do this all the time." And I'm like, "This is brilliant. Like, this is something you," I said, "Is this something you created? Like, this came out of you? You wouldn't read this somewhere or get this in some coaching certification. This is your practice that you do?" And she goes, "Yeah." And I'm like, "This is gold. This is amazing." And she's like, "Oh, is it like that? I just thought it was just really basic." I'm like, "No, this is your gold." And now, I mean, she could turn that into all kinds of things, but sometimes we just don't recognize the value that we're putting out in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you see that a lot. You see a lot of people who have very strong skills don't, it comes easy to them.
Yeah.
And they don't realize that other people don't have those skills until people come up to them and say, "Boy, that's amazing because I couldn't do it. You do it."
Mhm.
It's, yeah, I think that that's really important. Um, what do you find when you start working with people, Lisa? Let's say you're maybe one or two sessions in. What do you find they need to most work on? Now, you might say, well, it's very varied, but in general,
I think it's deciding on what that message is and then developing it. That's the front end of what we do. It's like we have to create the talk. So the first thing is, that session where we're deciding what are the main points, what's the title, what's the description, what's the call to action? Because as soon as you say you are a speaker or want to be a speaker or ask someone to speak somewhere, they're naturally going to ask, "Oh, well, what's your topic?" And you want to have an answer and you want to have a confident answer, and you don't want to have to go, "Oh, I need to go look it up." And you want to really have that, like, "Oh, I can't wait to share this energy with the world." So that's the what I call base camp. And then how quickly you move through that's going to depend. Are you good with slides? Do you need help with that? Are you, like, on it where you're practicing and getting it all dialed in? And that's where I support people with that process. But then right on the heels of that, we also need to strategize, where are you going to be speaking? And it's not that it comes directly after. Sometimes it's all a conversation similar at the same time. But we need to figure out, where are you best suited to speak? Are we talking conferences? Are we talking local? Are we talking traveling, virtual, paid stages, free stages? What are we using speaking for? Are we trying to get clients? Are we trying to get contracts? Are are we selling bulk book sales? Like what are we doing? Why is this going to support your business? So we need to figure those pieces out too.
Mm. Yeah, it's very important. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about sort of the mechanics of speaking, in terms of delivering your message effectively and your audience. How can people find you?
They can go to getspeakinggigsnow.com. And if you want some tips, they can go to getspeakinggigsnow.com/tips and get 5 top tips to get more speaking gigs.
Which is great. And your books?
Yes, my books are available on, I think I have 2 books available on my website, but one in particular, the Get Speaking Gigs Now book is available. And you can do that through Audible or like an Audible version or the print version.
Right. And that gives you tips, the guest speaking gigs that now.
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. All right. We're going to take a quick break. Let me recap a little bit about Leisa and her expertise. Again, she is known as the Speaking Strategy Mentor, and she's the founder of Get Speaking Gigs Now and the CEO of the International Speaker Network. She's delivered over 600 talks and authored 9 books, and she helps business owners scale their impact beyond one-to-one. And it's through the power of speaking. And she believes it isn't just about giving a talk, it's about creating consistent strategy to get booked and stay booked and attract your clients. All right. You're listening to the Patricia Raskin Positive Living Show right here on voiceamericamedia.com. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Well, hello, everyone, and we are back. We are back with Leisa Reid, who is the Speaking Strategy Mentor and founder of Get Speaking Gigs Now. Welcome back, Leisa.
So excited to be here.
So let's talk about really honing your topic. So I'm going to throw out a kind of a hot buzz topic right now, and that's AI, because everybody's talking about artificial intelligence.
Mhm.
And it has a good rap and a bad rap.
Mhm.
There's a lot we hear about what's wrong with it and how it can hurt us. And then we have people telling us how it can be very helpful if it's used properly or if it's used in the right context, as we can say the same thing about social media. So if you have someone who comes to you and says, Leisa, I really want to do a talk on AI. I mean, that's wide. How do you help them figure out exactly who's their audience, which topic should they talk about? How do you do that?
So typically when I have a client that I'm working with, we already know like what their business model is, who their clients are, and so forth. So it would be really important to say, okay, who needs to be in the room when you're speaking about this topic? So you wouldn't just say, learn about AI. I mean, I wouldn't title a talk like that. That's really, really general. But potentially, if you're a marketing expert and you have a certain AI program that you're an expert in, or why you would be talking about I would say we want to make sure there's a thread that goes all the way through. And I got really good advice one time many years ago, which is why my book is named what it is. And that was if you can be a triple threat, that's great. Meaning, if your company name and your book title and your talk title can all be the same thing, that's a really good thing. So at the time,
Mm.
my company is called Get Speaking Gigs Now. My book is called Get Speaking Gigs Now. And for many years, one of my talks was called Get Speaking Gigs Now because it worked. That's not always going to be the case for every single person. But what we do want to do is make sure there's a line going through it. So, for example, if you're saying, oh, I want to speak about AI because I'm really interested in it, but it's not really something that's going to bring you clients or it's going to really do anything for your business, then I'd be like, well, maybe let's open up and see what other things we're going to be speaking about. Or what is it about AI that you're helping people with? And really hone in on what's that differentiator. One of the examples I could say is I have many clients who've done life coaching or business coaching. And so, how do they differentiate themselves from all the other people who did the same certification? And usually, if they come to me with something really general, I'm like, that's not going to cut it. And I'm kind of like, if you imagine like we're shopping together and you put on an outfit, I'm not going to let you walk out of the store, buy something that you look horrible in, right? I'm going to be honest, but I'm going to be nice about it. And I'm going to say, well, it's up to you, but let's look at some other options. So that's where I help really validate, are we going in the right direction or not? And what do I think is marketable for you?
And also something that they want to talk about, correct?
Yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah.
you might say to them, how about this topic? It's really in the news. And they might say, yeah, but that's not my comfort zone.
Yeah, so that's where we're really honing in on their brilliance. And actually, I had a great session with a client last week, and she has done so much work and so much expertise. We really needed to narrow it down and get specific. And she's in this transition right now where she's shifting from one part of her business to another. And so we came up with something, and she kind of slept on it. I slept on it, and she goes, I'm not really feeling it yet. I'm like, okay, no problem. What we're doing is we're creating something new. And how
Mm.
you feel about it is so important because
Mm.
you are the one up there giving it. I am not up there giving it. You have got to be I would say, I want you to be so madly in love with your talkie, I want to marry it, right? No one's going to do your push-ups for you. So we have to hone in on what's that topic you're really excited you cannot wait to share about. That's where
Mm.
we're going for.
Yeah, really makes a difference.
Huge.
Now, when you work with clients, for example, clients that want to do TED Talks, do you help them prepare something like a TED Talk?
No, in fact, I say I don't touch TED because it's a really different model. There's a
Okay.
lot of rules, and rightfully so. It's a certain system that TED has that you have to fall into. Also, it's different themes for the different events, and they often have coaches there for you because they want to have a great event. So there's usually already some built-in coaching, or you can get, of course, you can also hire a specific TED coach, which I would recommend doing.
So there are coaches just for TED Talks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a very different model because there's no sense of sales. There's no call to action. You can't drop your website in there at all. It's very specific. So yeah.
Lisa, have you worked with clients who may be working with people who intimidate them, or they start to lose their confidence when they're around these strong, powerful people? Um, have you worked with people like that and helped them break through that?
Yeah, and this is where it kind of comes back to that speaker's kryptonite. Sometimes I'll have a client say, well, I don't want to speak to people I know. That makes me really nervous. And another person's like, I don't want to, I'm scared of speaking in front of strangers. That makes me really nervous. Or I want to speak in front of a big room or a small room. Like it's really interesting how our mind works. So that's again that conversation of like, what's going on here? What are we worried about? What do we think is going to happen? How can we then mitigate that concern so that you feel better? I had one client, and I wouldn't say he was intimidated by working with powerful people, but he had had a lot of success in his life. When I met him, he had just sold 70 franchise locations. And it was a little quicker than he was looking to retire. So he wasn't really ready to retire yet, but he had all this really powerful information that could help people make a lot of money. And he had so many stories. And so what we needed to do is really narrow down the nugget stories that were really powerful and show him how he could say them shorter because, he had a lot of information to share.
Hmm.
When he shared a couple of those stories at a conference that he was at, he was like a conference table, like so a few people sitting around the conference table. He ended up getting a multi-million-dollar deal because of the story that he told based on our
Wow.
work together. And he never
Wow.
even stepped on stage. He decided, well, I got what I wanted. I didn't end up needing to speak after all, but I got this thing that I really wanted instead.
Yeah. That's an interesting point. Sometimes you'll just make the contact, just being out there and speaking about the topic. Maybe the talk didn't go as well as you might have liked it to go, but then you met some great people.
Yeah, it's all just part of the journey. And we need to also be okay with not knowing how everything's going to turn out. Sometimes people want that guarantee. And I'm like, well, we all want a guarantee. But then something like the pandemic happens, and we're like, wait, I thought all this was, I thought these things were going to stay around forever. No, nothing's guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's just an
Yeah.
illusion.
Yeah.
So what you
Yeah.
can count on is yourself and, delivering messages, delivering your brilliance and attracting your ideal clients. You have a lot of
Yeah.
agency in that.
Hmm. What if you don't have an offer? So,
Mm.
in other words, I don't like, for example, somebody might say, well, Lisa, I want to speak better, but I don't have a book, and I'm not really taking clients. I'm working for a company, and this is something I really want to talk about. What do you say then?
Usually, I'm working with people who have a desire to build business, create business, something like that. Sometimes I am working with someone who really wants to leave a legacy. I had a client who was in her late 70s, and she's like, I don't really need the money. But I just want to make sure that my work doesn't end with me, that more people get a hold of this information. That was
Hmm.
her guiding light. So I'm really
Wow.
clear before we even start working together, what are you doing this for? So that I can be an advocate for you and your goal. So I'm not guessing. I'm like, are we going for clients? Are we going for legacy? Like, what are we going for? What's the end game here?
Yeah.
And it doesn't always mean it's about money.
That was my next question is, what if you're not making money speaking? And you said that might not be the end goal.
Mhm. It again, it usually people are coming to me saying, well, I'm tired of speaking. They'll say, I'm tired of speaking for free. I want to get paid. And what that tells me is that the strategy has been missing. Something is wrong with the strategy. Because if they're using speaking as a marketing tool and they're not generating clients, something's wrong with the system. So I want to get in there and fix it as soon as possible so that we don't continue the boat sinking process. If someone is saying, I don't need money, that's not something I'm concerned with, it's not really why I'm doing it. I would say, okay, well, you can just keep doing what you're doing. I mean, why hire me then? Why would you want to do that? And we would just want to be clear. I always want to do something that makes sense for people. Like, we don't want to just waste anyone's time. I don't want to waste anyone's time or money ever. So it's like, let's make sure we're a fit and am I going to be able to help you get what you want? And if I
Yeah,
can,
and I think this whole money piece is interesting because, some people will pay you $100, some people will pay you $10,000. So how do you help people with that, figuring all that out, the money part?
yeah, I call it a monetization system. So what we want to do is really figure out how can you monetize your speaking. And everyone's formula is different for that. So some it might be clients, some it could be book sales, some it could be product or program or, other kinds of sales, maybe of courses or things like that. Um, some it might be speaker fee or a combination thereof. So we always want to figure out how can we squeeze the most juice out of the lemon. That's what we're looking to do.
Mhm.
And maybe you're getting started and you need testimonials or you need video of you speaking. And so instead of worrying about the money piece, you're looking to gain some collateral. That's fine. But we just want to make sure we're clear on our intention and
Yeah.
that we're open for all possibilities. So even though you might speak to get testimonials or you might speak to get collateral, you could still get clients, you could still get paid. So we don't want to eliminate options off the table, but we do want to be prepared for all the options. And sometimes people think of the money after. They're like, oh, I didn't think about how I could get clients. Oh, I don't know. I was just so focused on creating my content. I didn't think about my
Mm.
business. Well, that's
Yeah.
an unbalanced talk.
Yeah.
You're when we're over giving and under receiving, that's also out of balance because you're
Mm.
eventually going to burn out and you won't be able to help anybody anymore.
Oh,
So you need to be balanced.
right. What are your closing thoughts? What do you want to leave our listeners with today?
Oh, I am such a huge fan of you doing what lights you up. 100%. Just do what makes your heart sing. That's what my dad would always say. And if you can do that and follow that, I certainly can help you share that message in a talk if you'd like.
Yeah, which is very helpful. Tell us a little bit about the titles of your books. We have a couple more minutes.
Oh, the one of them is actually I have it right here. It's called Get Speaking Gigs Now. It's a little glare here. Learn the secrets to booking 500 plus speaking gigs. Because when I wrote this, that's how many we had. And I try to give people some solid tips. It's a short read, so it's super easy to read, but it's true. And it's funny, Patricia, I wrote this well before AI was an option for most people. So it's literally my words. It is something I wrote on my own without any artificial support.
Which is great. All right, and tell us again how people can find you and if they would like to set up a consult with you or talk to you.
Yeah, you can go to getspeakinggigsnow.com. And there's lots of options on that site. If you want to go straight to get 5 top tips to get more speaking gigs, you can do that at getspeakinggigsnow.com/tips. And then I'll offer a third option. I don't usually share this on shows, but since you asked, Patricia, I will share this with your listeners. If you are picking up what I'm throwing down and you're like, oh my gosh, where has she been all my life? I definitely want to use speaking to grow my business, attract my clients. Then I will share my calendar link here, and it's getspeakinggigsnow.com/chat. And you
Okay.
can book a call with me, and we'll go through what you're trying to create and what holes are in the boat. And if it makes sense for us to look at what programs would be a fit for you, we'll do that.
Thank you so much. Thank you for everything that you're doing to help people become speakers and for your work in the world, Lisa. Really, thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, thanks. Stay on the line for a minute. All right, folks, that wraps up this edition of the Patricia Raskin Positive Living Show. If you'd like to find me and get a copy of my monthly newsletter, which I send out the first day of every month and has these wonderful guests in the newsletter, including Lisa, write to me, patricia@patriciaraskin.com. And if you want to get your positive message out and you'd like to create your own podcast series, I've interviewed over 6,000 guests and I would love to help you. So again, patricia@patriciaraskin.com. Remember, stay healthy, stay happy, get the support you need, and know you can make your dreams come true. Until next time.